back, Honors Western Civ. We are going to pick up exactly where we left off, and this won't take long, don't worry. So we left off with Augustus assuming control as the very, very first emperor of Rome, right? And he ushered in the Pax Romana. 200 years of Roman peace, right? He just had an insane amount of major accomplishments. He was a very just leader, so much to a fault, actually. I'll tell you a story about his granddaughter and his daughter and his granddaughter in a little bit. But he's just a really good leader, solid leader, and he really demonstrates the qualities of an effective leader. I feel like so often in our current day, we get lost in the idea of our elected officials are supposed to accomplish things for us. Well, Augustus did that. He accomplished some stuff. So check this out. That is the bust of Augustus, right? This is what Augustus looked like when he assumed control of Rome. He's the very, very first true emperor, okay? He quelled more than one civil war, and he actually stopped several rebellions, right? Because he realized with all these rebellions happening among the empire, that means that people aren't what? Exactly. People aren't happy, right? So he did what he could to usher in more citizenship laws for the conquered, to bring them into the empire, and to sustain the empire at its strongest, right? So this is one of his major accomplishments. He made a uniform system of currency. Very first uniform system of currency. Major accomplishment when you think of modern day economics, right? And this is his most famous statue, the one that everybody knows the most about anyway. So we'll talk about some more cool facts about that tomorrow when it comes to his proportions and things like that. So we'll talk, like I said, we'll talk some more about that tomorrow. But we got to get going because I don't want you to have to sit around for too long. So under the leadership of Augustus, the following things were accomplished, okay? So number one, constitutional monarchy. Well, some of you are sitting there and well, we don't have one of those anymore. Well, technically we do. Constitutional monarchy is when a king or leader must work with other governing bodies and follow the rules of other citizens, okay? So he believed that the emperor should work with the Senate, not a competition, but work with each other to make fair laws for its citizens. He also believed that emperors should be subject to the same laws as people, okay? So, for example, one of these laws is the story I wanted to tell you. He made adultery illegal. He made it illegal to cheat on your husband or wife, and he gave tax exemptions to families that had 3 or more children, and he taxed couples without children heavier, right? So he was in favor of spreading the Roman quality and actually growing the population. So I have some kind of bump in my finger, it itches. So anyway, now, speaking of that illegal adultery thing, this is actually really cool. He banished his own daughter and granddaughter for being adulterers. He kicked them out of Rome because they were adulterers. That's how fair Augustus was. He showed no mercy, and he believed if you violated the rules, and you must go. All right? So, also, other major accomplishments. He had laws passed giving citizens more rights, okay? He actually made the bathhouses open to all. He tried to do his best to reduce the gap between the plebeians and the patricians as well. Romans were the first people also to take a formal census. Now, a census is a what? Good job, Bears. It's a count of a country's people, okay? So he wanted to know how many people do we have, and that's why he did these tax incentives for people having more children, because he wanted to grow that number. You want an empire with a lot of happy people in it, right? So he had roads built as well, an actual systematic version of roads built, and also those roads had underground plumbing and sewage systems beneath them. So he actually beefed up the infrastructure of Rome in general. And I'm not talking just roads in the city-state of Rome. I mean roads all over the empire to make travel easier. Now, last thing, he had some new government buildings built. He also claims that he rebuilt 82 temples in 1 year. So, I mean, he's a pretty well-accomplished guy. Now, this is an example of one of his bathhouses that he had built. I'm not going to lie to you. I want to go there. I mean, that's some pretty amazing stuff. And we talked about this, that they actually heated the water from underneath. We talked about this today with Sam when he said the slaves actually had to keep the water at 110 degrees, and they had to crawl around underneath the water. And they also salted the water to help discourage any kind of mold or bacteria growth. So, and this is another one of the bathhouses. I believe this one is for women, though. So, And I don't know about y'all ladies, but y'all seems nicer than ours does. So, also, accomplishments continued. The aqueduct system was beefed up. An aqueduct is a system of carrying water, right? Now, when we think about Greeks, we think about pillars, right? Let's talk about the architecture of an aqueduct and why it works so well. The aqueducts would literally start at the top of a mountain and pull the water using only gravity all the way to the ground level to the city-state of Rome. These aqueducts still work. They still work today. Here is a picture of one in modern-day Rome. It's a very phenomenal thing, but architecturally speaking, it's very different from the Greek design because the Romans used arches, whereas the Greeks like to use pillars much more often. So, the death of Augustus. Crap, right? So, for 50 years, excuse me, 50 years, Rome ruled for 50, wow, this is the baddest class, isn't it? So, following the reign of Augustus, 50 years after Augustus, Rome went through several good emperors and a lot of really bad emperors. Now, we talked about some of them today, but I feel we need to make them a little bit more real, right? So, for example, the worst, of course, is Caligula, murdered by his imperial guards, and Nero, murdered by his own military. So, actually, I take that back. You know what? Nero isn't even in my top 5 probably after today. So, now that is Caligula, right? Now, Caligula, apparently a couple of other facts that I didn't tell you. Caligula had a life-size statue of himself built in gold, and he ordered that people dress it in what he was wearing that day so people could see what he was wearing that day. He had his horse appointed as an advisor. His horse was, its name was Latin for galloper, and it's like intrepus or something like that. So, very, very odd guy, like a really weird guy. He would oftentimes, his favorite method of execution was sawing someone in half while they were upside down so they couldn't pass out because of the blood actually pooling in the bottom of their head. Oh, God, what else? Caligula also had an entire family murdered because somebody insulted him to his face. He had a guy murdered for 3 straight, or he had one man executed for 3 straight months by beating him with chains every day for 3 months. Oh, there's so much stuff, and I'll tell you all a bunch of stuff about it tomorrow as well. Now, Caligula is the hands down worst. Now, this is Nero with his Andrew Luck neckbeard. I'm sorry if I cut his eyeballs off. Nero, of course, was the one who apparently played the fiddle while Rome burned, but we know it's not a fiddle. It's actually a lyre. So, that right there, if he's wearing a lion skin, who is that? Boom! Good job, Danielle. That's Commodus, right? That's the son of Marcus Aurelius. We'll talk about Marcus Aurelius here in a moment. So, that right there is... Who is that again? That's Calicara. I know that. Whoops. All right. Here we go. There we go. All right. Who is... Bam. That's him. Oh, that's Tiberius right there. That's Calicara right there. And then, of course, that's Elagabalus, all your favorite 14-year-old cross-dressing emperor, right? So, anyway. Now... 5 good emperors of the Pax Romana, all right? Nerva, Trajan, we don't care very much about them, all right? So they just didn't, they kept peace. That's their great stuff. Pius was a good emperor as well. The 2 that we really are concerned about, though, is Hadrian and Marcus Aurelius, all right? Marcus Aurelius and Hadrian brought Rome to its highest. Hadrian organized the bureaucracy, and he built a wall limiting the expansion of Rome past the middle of Great Britain. Marcus Aurelius also brought Rome to its height after he defeated the Germanic tribesmen, the Alemannians, in, I think it was like 213 AD, but I'll look this up again. Marcus Aurelius brought Rome to its height. Marcus Aurelius was known as the philosopher emperor. He is very, very quotable. He wrote several books, and he was also an accomplished astronomist. And we will continue this tomorrow, though, because as you can see, the fall of Rome is coming. All right, so we'll finish all this stuff up tomorrow. I will be checking these tomorrow. And your embedded homework tonight is, I don't know. We're not going to worry about it tonight. But I will be checking this flip tomorrow. So have a great evening. I'll see y'all then.